He is a constitutionalist, a patriot, civil rights activist, humanitarian, good Samaritan, business owner and businessman, community leader, constitutional law scholar, father, husband, man of the people, hero, and advocate for the homeless. And I want to say he's a politician because he ran for mayor, but he's not corrupt like most politicians. And then in the red corner, we have CJ Grisham, Mr. CJ Grisham, president of Open Carry, Texas, civil rights activist, veteran, hero, father, husband, grandfather, humanitarian, good Samaritan, community leader, businessman, business owner, man of the people, patriot, constitutionalist, war hero, combat survivor, wounded warrior, innocent criminal attorney, and a civil rights attorney. Thank you guys for joining me.
Thank you for having us on.
Did I miss
everything but hero?
CJ doesn't like hero. He told me not to say that, but I couldn't help myself. Everybody refers to you as a hero, including me. So
he's my hero.
He's my hero too.
I heart you.
Can you?
But you don't let me touch your butt.
That's correct. That's my no-no square.
Oh yeah. So I guess the live is working. I see people commenting.
I see it. Can you smell what the Rock is cooking?
Yeah. Can you smell what the Rock is cooking? How many people's in here? Have we got enough people yet?
39.
Yeah, that'll work. So I got a list of questions to ask Mr. Jason Followell. And CJ's a big part of this too, but this is mainly about the corruption in Aransas Pass. It has been going. Go ahead.
And I'll just tell you, if there's a question, I prefer you not answer.
Yeah, as Jason's attorney, CJ will make sure that we don't touch on anything that's not allowed to be brought up. But these two men have went crazy viral in the last 2 months, all over the internet. These two have got 2.1 million views alone on my channel, and they've been going crazy viral everywhere else. So I know a lot of people want to hear what they have to say. And I have put down a list of questions. If any of the audience members have any questions you want to ask, just put it in the chat, and we'll try to talk about it. We're going to try to keep this short, under 30 minutes. But yeah, let's get to it. So the first question is, Jason, have you lived in Aransas Pass your whole life?
I was born in Michigan. My dad was in the military, so I was born in Michigan, but we were only there about 9 months, and I've been in Aransas Pass ever since. My family's from this area, so Dad was born in Aransas Pass, so I've been here pretty much all my life. Yes, sir.
Cool. CJ, what about you? Have you lived in Temple your whole life? I know you're a lifelong Texan.
I was born here in Temple and spent many summers here on my grandparents' farm. So, but I was a military brat as well. My dad was in the Navy, so I never got to live in Texas. But every summer I'd come home to my family farm and work on the farm to make some money over the summer. And when I had a chance to retire, I came back home. So I've lived here and voted here since I was 18, but only lived here since 2009 on a consistent basis because my dad was military and then I was military.
I think I speak for a lot of us when I say thank you for your service. I don't agree with the politicians starting wars, but I respect the veterans, man. Highly respect them.
I don't either. Having been in a war, I realize that we need to do everything we possibly can to stop fighting them.
Yeah.
Bring all of our troops home, no matter where they are, put them on our borders, and just stop fighting other people's wars until it comes to our land.
Yeah, keep our money here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. All right, question number 2. Jason, when did you first realize there was corruption in Aransas Pass, and what was the corruption that you first realized? What was the first red flags to you, and when was it, and what was it?
Well, there's always been corruption in Aransas Pass. Everybody knows that. It's the crackheadville of this area, I guess, or heroinville if you want. But I had the police department come on my property, not the police department, excuse me, the fire department. Well, they did an inspection 2019 when I built my gym, and they're supposed to do inspections every 2 years, biannually after that. They came, and I let them in on my property, do the inspection that year, right? And I didn't have any issues with it. And they passed my building, said it was 100% complete, no issues, no hazards. They came back 2 years later, but I was not in that week. I traveled for work, right? So I wasn't there. And they came in on my property without my permission behind one of my members. So they entered in my property, lock and key property, right? It says member access only. And they did an inspection on my building, and I reached out to the fire department. The man's name was Jason Padron, and I said, you can't come on my property without my permission. And he basically told me that they do that to everybody, so that didn't ring right. So I got a hold of their chief. His name is Chief Kelly. Asked him some questions. Basically told him, look, man, your guys came to my property without my permission. Can you do something about it? And I wasn't asking for anybody to get in trouble. I just didn't want it to happen again. A fair, I'm sorry, move on kind of thing. And instead, this man, within 2 hours after I emailed him, excuse me, he told me that he was pro-Constitution. He'd take care of this and get back to me. Well, 2 hours later, oh my God. And 2 hours later, he wrote me back and started preaching codes. And he's saying all these codes allow me to do inspections on your building. We can come on your property whenever we want to. I self-audit myself and find nothing wrong, right? And so from then I started going to council meetings and learning more about the corruption in the town.
Yeah. Okay. I just remembered something. If I have any moderators in here, which I'm sure I do, put $ CJ Grisham. We're trying to raise money to get CJ Grisham's case to the Supreme Court, the Almost Park case where he was tased and unlawfully arrested. CJ, you want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, it's actually the case that convinced me to become an attorney. 2018, we a bunch of First Amendment activists who also happened to open carry handguns in a holster as well as rifles were protesting at Almost Park and constantly getting guns drawn on them. And so that was brought to my attention as the president of Open Carry Texas at the time. And I contacted the chief because we were going to do a giant protest there. And I was like, what's going to happen if I come to your city, and I'm open carrying? I'm afraid you're going to shoot me or in some way attack me. And he assured me, no, we open carry is legal. We know that. And anyway, literally the next day, I took a bunch of combat veterans with me because I figured if they were going to, if they were going to draw down, I wanted people who are used to having guns pointed at them and don't overreact. And so I took about a half dozen veterans with me, and we went to Almost Park. And within, probably 3 minutes of getting there, the police were activated, and they ran up on my buddy, started pointing guns at him, ordering him on the ground for no reason other than just that he had a gun. I got involved, tried to get the chief involved. I told him, look, I just talked to your chief yesterday. And really, to make a long story short, that video just looks CJ Grisham Almost Park or James Everard Almost Park. But that video is up, and I was tased because I refused to be unlawfully arrested. Cracked my head open on the concrete. Ended up with a concussion, as well as I have to take medication for migraines now. I still kind of get migraines, but not as much as I used to because of this. And that's really so they charged me with all kinds of bogus crimes. Thankfully, we had everything on video and everything got dismissed. And then we sued them. And, we tried to mediate, but they were like, yeah, we'll give you $1,000. Like, what? No, I was put in the hospital. I have literal mild traumatic brain injury from this. And no, that's not good enough. And so we sued them. They were given qualified immunity. I was just the worst. Magistrate wrote up the worst all he analyzed was the state's evidence. You could tell. He didn't analyze anything that we had on video, didn't analyze any of the depositions where the officers themselves in deposition said things. And I can't, there's still a gag order on it, so I can't go into things that aren't public. But anyway, they got qualified immunity. We appealed that. It all the way up to the Fifth Circuit. A Fifth Circuit panel once again ignored all the evidence and did not look at the totality of the circumstances. All they looked at was the totality of that particular moment, not the months and days prior, in making their decision that they were going to uphold qualified immunity. So now we're trying to get to the full Fifth Circuit as well as the Supreme Court to essentially overturn qualified immunity, even as something that they can use. And we've got a great argument for abolishing qualified immunity completely. And I won't go into that here, but you can go to my channel and watch the video about qualified immunity.
It's good.
All right, Jason, what made you decide to run for mayor, and what are your thoughts about the mayor you were running against and the whole process?
So that was last year. So I ran for mayor because of the corruption initially, but nobody was going to run against him. So he was going to go unopposed again. And it would have been another 2 years of having that incompetent buffoon there again, and I didn't want it. So I couldn't get any change in the council. I couldn't get them to listen, couldn't get them to lick a finger and do anything about the corrupt fire department leadership and corrupt police department leadership. But as it turns out, a year later, they're just as corrupt as they are. So that's why they weren't willing to change anything. But I ran against him initially because it was unopposed. Nobody was challenging him. And that's pretty sad. If you go back and watch the videos of the debate, and nobody was going to challenge this guy. And I don't even know if he can spell his name. It's embarrassing to have that guy as a leader for Aransas Pass, Texas.
Do you think the election?
Well, and what's weird, he can't spell his name, and his first name only has 3 letters. That tells you a little bit about him.
Yeah, he always wants to put M-O-M like mom. I don't understand. It's R-A-M. Weird.
And he's the one in the meetings that can't speak clear English, correct?
He's the one that says right now.
Yeah. Do you think it was a fair election, or do you think it was rigged?
Man, I have no clue. So here's what happens. When they go out and vote in Aransas Pass, you get about 300 to 500 people that actually come out and vote out of a city of about 8,500. That year, almost 1,000 people came out. So 950, 956, somewhere around there came out. And the man beat me by double the votes. I was told that him and Miss Scruggs went to all the churches and told the old ladies and old men there that I was a Satanist and a devil worshiper, and that's how they got all the votes.
They slandered you.
That Miss Scruggs called me Satan and the devil in council meetings.
Wow.
So did Chief Blanchard's mommy that he called up there to come defend him because he's not man enough to defend himself.
Wow. Well, to me, my opinion, I think they allegedly rigged that election because it seems like the community is behind you, But
now, so if you go back a year ago, it was divided. And if you go back 2 years ago, I probably had about 2% of them on my side. And I was raised here. Half those people in council aren't even from here. But they didn't believe or didn't want to believe that their police department and fire department is corrupt. But now, I don't know. They might have a handful of people on their side, but most of the people are on their side or are on their side, if you follow me. The rest of the people see them for blatant corruption.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at your YouTube channel, it seems like a lot of the community come to you for their problems. They don't go to the city because it's the city that's creating the problems for these people.
Oh, a bunch. I mean, one of the guys running right now, Randy Hackins, good guy. The city actually flooded his house so many times by messing up the sewer lines over there that his house basically cracked in half. And Gary Edwards told him he was going to help him with the problem. And 10 years later, he still got a messed up house and the city washed his hands of it. So that's why that guy's running for council, because he's tired of the corruption too.
Yeah. CJ, you have any thoughts on that? Anything you want to add?
No, the only thing that I know about the city council that I've learned is that it is entirely corrupt. One of the claims that we are making against one of the city council ladies is, of course, defamation, because of the fact that she used, not only did she use Mr. Followell's religion against him in an attack, but falsely claimed his religion. And knowing she knew he wasn't what she was labeling him as. So, the issue that we have in Aransas Pass is one that we have really all over the state here. And what I'm learning, because your video and the videos of us fighting them have gone national, I get emails from around the country. And those emails are saying that this isn't just a Texas problem. This is a United States problem. We are in the throes of the constitutional breakdown of America and the rise of communism, really, because that's what these actions are, is they're very communistic in nature. And I think that there's something sinister going on at a higher level, whether it's national or international, where our local governments are being run by foreigners, and those foreigners might be in DC, or they might be in Helsinki, or wherever the UN is based out of. But the fact of the matter is, when you've got international organizations telling countries, hey, this is how municipalities should be run, and then those countries tell the states, hey, this is how municipalities should be run, and then those states tell the municipalities, hey, this is how you should be run, it's not hard to connect the dots. And the problem that we have, especially in Jason's case, is you have an issue where a citizen, really what this started out as, is a citizen having complaints about the way government is being run. And instead of either doing one of two things, fixing the problem or just ignoring them, a lot of city councils, people get up there and they talk, and then, the city council just ignores them and does whatever the hell they want. And that's all they had to do, was either ignore him or fix the problem. Instead, they made it worse. They targeted him. They started retaliating against him. And then that made him more angry. So he went back to city council. Now he's got new things to complain about. And so what does the city council do? They double down again. And they're the ones escalating this problem to the point where, okay, we've got to do a lawsuit. And it's happening all over. I've got a lawsuit that I'm getting ready to file in Killeen for almost the same reason. Instead of just letting people complain, they want to try and shut them up. And we've got to start telling them, you can't shut people up, and you're not going to shut people up. So we'll bankrupt your city if that's what it takes. And I know a lot of attorneys don't like to handle these kind of, small potatoes type things, but I'm not your average attorney. I think any injustice is a big injustice, especially when it comes to our Constitution.
I absolutely agree. Absolutely.
CJ, I agree with you, man. You got to start at the bottom, work your way up.
Yep.
If you clean the little towns, we can spread like a virus and take the country back.
And what they've been doing to Jason, it works on 98% of the citizens. 98% of the citizens would have quit and bowed down and just obeyed and been submissive. And that's why so many people are inspired about what you guys are doing, because this is happening in every small town in America, and people are experiencing this. And that's why what you guys are doing is so inspiring, and people love it so much, because most people are afraid to stand up to them.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you about that if you don't mind. So when this stuff first happened to me, I had, I first got on YouTube and people started talking to me in the city. I had an individual that had an RV park out here, and he came and talked to me, and it had been 4 or 5 years prior, so he couldn't sue, but he came and talked to me, and he was friends with Ram Gomez, that's the mayor, and said that they cut the power to his RV park, and he went up to City Hall and complained about it. And it was an accident. Exactly. So they cut the power to the bar next door, which was attached to his power to the RV park, if you follow me. So he went up there and complained. And instead of fixing the problem, they actually went back out there that week with code enforcement officers and the fire department and wrote this man a bunch of citations to his RV park, and then left his power off for a whole week just to punish him. So I understand why people are scared. They mess with them, they target them and mess with them, hurt their pocketbook, Yeah,
the retaliation. Yep. They've done it to me too, but this isn't about me. All right. So the next question that I wrote down, but I think you might have already covered it, is, about them weaponizing the code enforcement against you and the fire marshal. What did you do that made them so mad that they weaponized them against you? And if you already answered that, then I apologize.
I did. So I went to council meetings, and I basically asked the council for almost a month politely to, hey, these guys did wrong. They came on my property without my permission. Please help me out. I even talked to Carrie Shrugs for, I don't know, 3 weeks straight. I've got her recorded talking to her. She acted like she was going to help me, told me what they did, isn't right, and they're going to work on it. Even the city attorney told me it wasn't right, that they shouldn't have came on my property without my permission. And then all of a sudden, after I beat their case in June, so I beat that first, when they first came to my property and gave me a citation that I didn't agree with. This was an outlet box. I beat that one, right? And after I beat it, 8 days later, they came in and raided my gym. With that said, that was June 21st. On June 16th, they sent code enforcement back out to my property to find something wrong with my property because they knew they were going to lose their case.
Yeah, which that brings me to my next question is, can you tell us about, they had, what, 7 charges against you and you beat all 7 of them?
They had more than that initially, but they dropped some of them because I had them recorded lying. Hey, the fire marshal wrote me a citation. I'll give you an example.
Bogus too, right?
Well, there was a couple of them that they got dropped, but I'll give you an example of one. They were at the back door and the front door, and they opened it, and there was a sandbag there because Aransas Pass floods because they don't take care of their sewer and water lines, right? We're going to spend $16 million on a fire station instead of fixing our basic foundation, right? With that said, they were out there. So he opens the door fully, closes the door, and I get a citation the next day that he couldn't open my door. But I had him on camera recording him the whole time. So I sent them that video, and I was like, are you really writing me a citation over this guy? This guy's opening the door. They dropped that one. But they wind up dropping 2 of those, yeah, and there were 7 of them total that they kept. And out of those 7, the mayor's business and Chief Kelly's hook and ladder had very similar citations. Like they wrote me up for insulation on my ceiling, and the contractor that did my ceiling did Chief Kelly, the fire marshal, ceiling the same month of the same year with the same material, and his property is okay and mine's an issue.
Yeah. And didn't you say that you're the only one in town that they made get a lockbox?
Yeah, there was nobody else in town that had a knockbox. The only knockbox they had in the entire town was on government property, which is the Civic Center, had 1 knockbox. So my building is conjoined with 2 other businesses, and neither one of them had knockboxes either. And to this day, neither one of those businesses have knockboxes.
And CJ, you were his attorney on all of those that got dismissed, correct?
Well, no, Jason. So Jason was able to successfully on his own fight them and beat them at the municipal level.
Hell yeah.
And what happened was they appealed to the county, and we're going to try and charge them again. So everything started all over again. I started working with the prosecutor. He wasn't seeing things the right way. And so I filed almost the same motion. I think I did a little bit differently than Jason did, but we filed on several issues. The first was that the code that they've adopted is they can't even legally adopt. And so they're citing Jason under a code they're not even allowed to enforce. And the second thing, which that became a really big issue. It's actually an interesting issue because Aransas Pass happens to straddle, was it 2 or 3 counties?
3.
So Aransas Pass is technically in 3 different counties. And so there's actually a legal issue about, well, how and which code can they adopt, and can they enforce it? Can they enforce a county code like in San Patricio County, and then but enforce that code in the, Aransas County portion of the city? So, but what we ended up winning on, because that was sort of a weird issue that we were going to have to come back and argue. The second issue that we argued, of course, was the warrantless search. And we were able to prove that it was a bogus warrant, that they had absolutely no probable cause or reasonable suspicion to be going into Mr. Followell's business, for one, just based off of what they did find. But second, what they did find were not violations to begin with. So even the warrant, if it were based off of actual information, was based off of non-crimes. And you can't create a warrant. That'd be like raiding your house, Harvey, for having the 2 of us on your video and using that video. Oh, CJ and Jason were on Harvey's video, so we're gonna go into his house and do a search warrant for other videos. Well, it's legal. You can't. First of all, it should have never been issued, the warrant. And second, the warrant was for outside stuff, not inside stuff. Right. So we won on that. We got it dismissed again, and that's it. It's pretty much dead now.
Hell yeah.
I got something on that knockbox, if you don't mind. If you go back and watch my videos, I have that prosecutor that was trying to prosecute me. He tells me, just put a knockbox up there. And I know you don't want the government to have a key to your building, basically, he tells me. So just put an IOU in there or a note, and it'll be okay, and we'll get rid of these citations. So he basically wanted me to break the law. If I was supposed to have a knockbox, this guy's telling me to break the law. And this guy's the guy prosecuting me. Crazy. James Garner, San Patricio County prosecutor.
Wow. Well, I think that's amazing that you were able to handle some of those on your own. And I noticed in your videos, you're pretty good about digging up the laws and really burning them on their own laws. And, I respect that. That's why when I introduced you, I added in there constitutional law scholar. I think I
think I get that from my background, brother. I'm an environmental health and safety guy.
Yeah.
That's what I deal with.
Hell yeah. The next thing that comes to my mind, I remember in one of your videos, you made some comments. I think it was the mayor that you were running against. You said that allegedly that he was selling drugs or doing something out of a business. Do you want to touch on that, or?
My dad used to buy weed from that man. That guy, that business has been selling drugs as far back as I can remember, and the whole town knows about it. There's nobody in this town that's going to say there's not drugs there. Not a single person.
And so Aransas Pass, that's a port city, right? Do you guys have a port? Y'all have a port?
We're right there. Corpus Christi's got a port. Port Aransas got a port. We got a port right down the way where Bay is. It used to be J. McDermott shipyard, but I think Bay's down there now. But yes.
Man, with all the corruption going on in that city, I wouldn't be surprised if they were allowing narcotics to come in that port. I mean, allegedly, and that's just an opinion. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it, brother.
Yeah.
South Texas in general has a lot of drugs that come across the border.
Okay. Let's see. This is probably a question for CJ right here, but it involves the lawsuits. How many during that meeting? How many did you hand out? I counted 6 or 7, and who all received them, and what were each individual lawsuit for? If you can discuss that pending litigation.
Well, yeah, this is all. As a matter of fact, I just shared in the chat what the case number is, so people can pull this up themselves and look at it. So it's not anything special. We sued 6 entities total, 5 individuals, and the city of Aransas Pass. So we served the chief, the fire chief, Nathan Kelly, the police chief, Eric Blanchard, the city manager, Gary Edwards, the mayor, Ram Gomez, city councilwoman, Carrie Scruggs, and then, of course, the city of Aransas Pass. So the only reason that we added in Carrie was because she had essentially tried to shut up and do what we call prior restraint on Jason, which is where you use the law to try and get people to shut up and not exercise their rights. She had an attorney send him cease and desist letters that essentially threatened litigation in violation of the Texas Public Participation Act, or Citizens Participation Act. And plus, of course, the defamatory statements that she had made over time. So that was why we added her in there. And then, of course, the mayor for obvious reasons, the chief and the city manager for obvious reasons, Chief Kelly because of the warrantless search, and I think I got everybody. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, you mentioned Carrie Scruggs, and that's one of the questions I have written down. In one of your videos, Jason, you said that she forged her husband's will. Can you discuss that with us? And how did you find this out? And just tell us everything you can about that.
Freedom of Information Act. I got that data. So I got the civil lawsuit.
You got the actual will?
Yeah, that's why when she kept sending me a cease and desist, I basically told her lawyer to bleep off. And he kept telling me I don't have the data, and I had it right in front of me. So he was full of crap. I believe she sent me 2 cease and desist, tried to get me to shut up about it. Excuse me. But in that, what happened is she got her son and her mother to actually forge the will. Carrie never admitted to anything that she did, but it was over a $2 million life insurance policy from her late husband, and she was trying to take the money away from her stepkid who was entitled to it, and he wound up suing her for it, and he won. She had to settle. I don't know how much money she settled out of court for, but he beat her because she forged the will. It even says on there, if you read the data, that the will was not made by her late husband.
CJ, isn't that against the law to forge a will?
It's a felony.
It is. Yeah.
If you want my video,
someone in that corrupt county to do something about it, but yes.
That's right. I asked numerous times for Chief Blanchard to hold her accountable for forging that will because it's a felony offense. As a matter of fact, her statute of limitation runs out this year. It's due in 2024. So he could still be a good cop and prosecute her. But if you watch the videos, he basically blatantly tells everybody in the audience that it would be unjustified for him to go after any city council member.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's corruption right there. I mean, if you would have forged one of your gym members' application forms and gave them a free membership, I'm sure they would have came after you for that.
Oh, they come after me if my grass is an inch too tall, brother.
So the guy Corey that was in one of your videos, was he one of the fire inspectors? He was the electrical inspector.
He is code enforcement, also law enforcement. I'd met Corey a couple of times before, had no issues with it. Like he came out, probably a year and a half before that because my grass was a little high, and he just, hey man, you need to fix this, and I fixed it the next day. There was no issues, right? But he's the one that I wish he wouldn't have quit, but he wound up quitting because of the bullying, harassment, and the way they treated him. Chief Blanchard actually said, if anybody can pull him over and write him citations, I'll buy him a steak dinner. He sent that out to the police department about Corey Elrod. Yeah, Chief Blanchard's a scumbag. And of course, the city didn't do anything about that either. Just blew it off like Chief Blanchard was joking. Well, you don't joke about something like that. That's that guy's life, right? But Corey's the one that finally said, hey, this is wrong. The whole thing's wrong. I didn't want to do it anyway. I wasn't certified on anything that they were trying to make me write you codes up on, Jason. I told Chief Blanchard that. Corey, this is Corey speaking, told Chief Blanchard that I'm not certified. And Chief Blanchard basically said, don't worry about it. And he added it to the warrant, even though Corey said he wasn't certified. And then he also told Corey, it's from Corey Elrod's own mouth, it's on my videos. He actually told the city attorney that he wasn't certified on all that stuff, and they still sent him out to do it. Crazy.
Yeah, it's very apparent in the video that he did not approve of what was happening, and he was not happy about it. And he was trying to do what's right, and that's why they pushed him out. I mean, it has to be.
He was a good dude.
Yeah.
I think he's doing it in Rockport now. He's code enforcement in Rockport, and I heard he's doing really well over there. So good for him.
So because he wouldn't be corrupt with the rest of the city and target and harass you, they mistreated him to the point where he left.
He basically told me on June 16th that he was directed by Chief Kelly and Chief Blanchard to go right to my property and find something to get inside my property. So they sent him out there to directly target me. And if you go look at the call log, he left APPD and went right to my building and did an illegal search on my property again under the direction of Chief Blanchard and Chief Kelly.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of people were praising him for taking a stand. You know, even though he cooperated with him in the beginning, he eventually tried to do what was right. And a lot of people gave him praise for that in the comments. So,
well, they target them. They target their jobs. If they don't do what they want, you're getting fired. Like I used to have the fire department and the police department go to my gym. Like they used to work out there. Chief Blanchard, Chief Kelly told them, if y'all go back into the gym, you're basically fired. So they're not allowed to come on my property and come lift weights because of them.
Wow. Well, Corey, if you're listening, we appreciate you doing what's right and taking a stand against the corruption.
Amen. Amen.
Okay, I got one more question. Is there any news with the woman who was tased getting her kids off the bus? Have those charges been dropped yet?
No, I know she's suing and I know she's fighting them, but they actually let a citizen from Rockport watch the video feed, the body cam feeds. I asked, I was denied, and I live in Aransas Pass, so not going to give it to me because they know I'm going to put it on Facebook. But they let this other gentleman watch it. He got a hold of me and talked to me. He's actually got a little clip on YouTube, audio about it. But he basically said that she was tased 3 times. She landed face first into the dirt. They picked her up. She had mud and stuff on her face. So she goes to spit the mud out, and it landed on the officer approaching's shin. A lady officer landed on her shin, and they got her with felony assault on a peace officer. And she immediately said, "I'm sorry." She couldn't breathe, had crap in her face.
Wow.
But that's why
these are our heroes, man. These are the people who, by golly, they put their lives on the line. These are the best of the best in society. These cops, they're doing the Lord's work. But if you touch them, they're going to whine and scream and moan and complain. And, oh, my gosh, you touched me. And then you get this felony nonsense crap. It's just these are the weakest. Look, if you're a law enforcement officer, you've got to be one of the weakest, most thin-skinned, absurd, and sorry excuse for a human being that's out there. Because when someone does, oh, gosh, a little bit of dirt landed on my skin or on my shirt or on my shin or whatever. And then you go and you whine about felony assault on a peace officer. What a bunch of load of crap. No one should be worshiping cops who are so weak and so just, it's just this idea that it's a felony just because you touch a cop. That's not what the law was intended to be. That's not what an assault on a peace officer was meant to be. And it's just, I see so many of these cases where, hell, I was charged with felony assault on a peace officer in Olmos Park. And I remember when the magistrate read the charge and my bond, and I looked up and I go, "I'm sorry, Your Honor, can you say that one more time?" Because I was like, what did I do? Did I land on his foot when he tased me and I fell backwards? Like, how did I assault this guy? And apparently the officer said, "Oh, he struck my forearm, causing pain." And you look at the video, I never touched his forearm. But even if I had touched his forearm, oh my gosh, he hurt me.
Yeah, you see it everywhere, man. I know a guy in Houston. He went to tap a cop on the shoulder just to get his attention because he wanted to talk to him. He tapped him on the shoulder. The cop turned around and violently arrested him and charged him.
Yeah, because they're weak. They're spineless. They're cowards. They're not heroes. They're not heroes.
They're real heroic when it comes to a jaywalker or if you're tapped.
Oh, yeah.
But, if you got kids being, if you got tragedies happening in schools and stuff, then you see how cowardice they are. They literally hide. Or the Acorn incident. Come on.
Crazy. That bus driver, the bus lady, Harvey, she's about 5'1" and 110 pounds. There was 5 officers.
I saw her. You want to explain to the audience what we're talking about? What happened?
She went to get her kids, so she was at the bus stop that they told her to go to, and they had already passed her up 2 days in a row. So she was upset. So she's flagging the bus down. She did get in front of the bus, flagged the bus down, wanted to get her kids off. She goes to get her kids off. They're fighting back and forth, the bus driver, them arguing to get her kids. But basically the cops showed up, wanted to talk to her, and she said, "Am I being detained?" And they said, didn't answer. So she tried to get her kids off. And when she tried to get her kids off, she had one of them in her arm. And the way the gentleman told me what happened to the video that he got to see was that the child was in her arms, and as soon as the grandmother went to grab the child, like still in her arms, that's when they tased her. And they tased her 3 times, face first on the ground, handcuffed her. She stands up. So I don't understand how they can get her with assault. Like, she's handcuffed with mud and crap all over her face. How does she get it out? The only way you can get it out if you can't breathe is to spit it out. And she spit downward at the ground, and that lady cop still got her for felony assault for messing up her uniform on her shin.
I really
and
hope.
then apologizing, immediately apologizing. I'm so sorry. Like, she didn't mean to. Like, come on, bro.
Hey,
Crazy.
speaking of heroes, that reminds me of these heroes harassing the homeless at the church over there.
Well, that pisses me off. So they've been harassing her and keep harassing her. And in the council meeting that we just had a couple of weeks ago, Chief Blanchard gets on there and says that he's working with the church to fix this. I talk to Tracy all the time. She's not the owner. She leases the property. She said she's never even met Chief Blanchard. So he got on public. This is on YouTube, and told everybody that he's trying to work it out. She's never met him. Not one time has he been over. Not one time. And but he does make flow charts and try to harass her. And if you read that law, I think it's basically, it is for public property, right? When he's trying to go off public place, fine. But if you read the definitions, it says the manager is the officer or the agent, which is government, has nothing to do with the church owner. He is bullying her and harassing her because they don't like the homeless there. And I went and talked to that lady, and I said, if you want to keep him at bay, just start telling everybody you're members only facility. So all of her church people that go there now are her members. So he can't go in there and say that it's public anymore, because if you're not a member of that church, you can't get in. Regardless, he's still wrong and shouldn't be bullying or harassing her. But the city council knows it, and they don't do anything about it either.
Again, this is that creeping communism that this idea that the state knows what's best for you. The AP is doing nothing about the homeless problem themselves. Somebody does it with their private property, their private money, their private effort, their private energy, and you've got these bullies out there that just decide, well, we don't like that. We're gonna, you can't feed the homeless because you don't have this license or that certificate or something. And at some point, we as people have to stop sitting on our asses and watching these videos and going, man, that sucks, and actually start doing something.
Yes.
I agree.
And with us, instead of just sitting on your ass and being a social media warrior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mind blowing. And where are all these homeless people going to go if they break them up? They're going to go all over town. You're going to have them all over town instead of one area. And they cook for them. They do prayers twice a week. They have mass twice a week is what I mean. And they fix up the facility, and they're just harassing her. I've talked to her, and she's been talking to an attorney in San Antonio. So I hope she sues the crap out of them. That'll just be another lawsuit. I think they're up to like 8 or 9 now.
I mean, they're doing such a great thing, for the human race and humanity. And CJ says it's communism. Why do you think that they're harassing them, Jason? I mean, what is their drive to harass these people that aren't hurting anybody?
Power.
Well, maybe, yeah, it could be power, egotistical kind of thing. But I think it's because they get complaints from citizens because there's tents there and they don't like seeing them. Well, your feelings don't matter. The homeless still have constitutional rights. You can bleep off, right?
Yeah.
This lady's doing this. So this is her religion, and her religion says take care of people. That's what she's doing. And these communists get up there in every council meeting and they have prayer about Jesus and how they're going to do right and bless the community. And then they go right out and attack a Christian denomination church. They're hypocrites.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't like looking at something, look the other way.
I agree.
It's just that simple.
And you're talking about religion, freedom of religion. And that reminds me, when we were at the very beginning of this discussion, you were talking about they were targeting you and telling everybody what your religion was. I mean, that's part of the First Amendment. I mean, why do they care what your religion is? Everybody has the freedom of their own religion.
For votes. They did that for votes. They wanted people to turn against me and to get their votes against me and get them on their side. So they labeled me a Satanist and a devil worshiper and a fallen angel, and they just went all out. And they did this live in a council meeting, by the way. And this is I believe it was the same meeting that Chief Blanchard got his mommy up there to come defend him and throw the Bible at me too.
Yeah. Hell yeah. All right. So we're going on 45 minutes. Do you any closing arguments? CJ, you got anything you want to add? Jason, you got anything you want to add?
Well, I'll just say that, any city council people that are watching this, or city managers that this gets forwarded to and all that, you need to understand we're coming for you. This time where you've been getting away with this nonsense is over with. You know, I just filed 2 lawsuits yesterday. I've got another one I'm going to file on Monday. I was hoping to get to it today. I didn't get to it today. I've got another one I'm going to file on Monday. I've got several that are still pending. So, you know, and I even went to my own city council, because I read their, for citizen comments, I read their little sheet that they have for citizen comments, which is completely unconstitutional. And I put my city on notice. I'm like, look, if you don't think, I know no attorneys around here will sue you, but I will. This is my city. You're not going to screw up my city. Yeah. So, you know, I put them on notice about it said that they won't tolerate, quote, disrespectful comments. And so I asked them straight up, I'm like, well, what's disrespectful? If I call you a tyrant, if I call you a piece of shit, you know, I started going down that road. And, so they didn't stop me, but I think they know. And I sent an email to city council with this kind of stuff, you know, explaining to them that you guys are going down the same road that other cities have gone down, where a citizen just wants to be left alone, you know, and when you don't leave them alone, this is what happens. You know, that eventually they're going to start standing up, and we're starting to stand up. And if you don't like it, go home. Stop running for office. If your fragile ego can't take someone getting up there and calling you a piece of shit or something else, if you are just such a sorry, sad excuse of a human being that words hurt you that much, get out of government.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. And that's just the way it is. And I think I hope these other cities, I can't wait till these cases actually start resolving, because right now we've just got a bunch of lawsuits. But once we start winning these lawsuits, that's when I hope we're going to send a chill down the spine of every spineless politician out there that's trying to control your speech, that's trying to control what you can complain about, that's trying to prevent you from exposing the actions of corruption in our city governments. I'm looking forward to that day. You know, filing a lawsuit is scary enough to these guys, but once we start winning and stealing their money, then it'll start working. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, but that's taxpayer money. You know, they have what's called a risk pool in Texas. And so they pay an insurance premium to go into this risk pool. And if you lose a lawsuit, that's what pays out. It's just like a regular insurance policy. But eventually, if you keep suing these people, the insurance policy, the provider is either going to not approve their bonds because they're uninsurable, or they know they're going to lose their bonds, or they're just going to make the prices so outrageous that the city can't afford the risk pool, and then they're going to lose their ability to act as a city because they're going to lose their charter. So, and that's what we've got to do. We've just got to make it hurt for them the way they make it hurt for us.
I agree with that.
I saw a question in the chats. If anybody has any questions for these two gentlemen, you better get them in here quick, because we're going to end this pretty soon. But I saw one question. Jason, can you bench 225? They want to know.
How many times?
It didn't say that. It just said, can you bench 225?
About 27 times.
Wow. Okay. Jason, you got anything else you want to add?
No, 27 times is a lot. I don't think I can do much more, Harvey.
No, I mean,
I could eat 225 cookies on a bench.
I could watch you do that.
I can do 225 12-ounce curls.
Man, Harvey, so I would like to talk what CJ was talking about the agenda notice. So my own town has an agenda notice, and they started utilizing it after I started talking to them. They didn't like it, and they basically made up these laws or this policy to where you can't single them out, you can't call them out. And right after they did that, the next week, I went up there and I basically said, y'all can all kiss my ass. And that's where that started. But they're full of crap. And they still put that agenda notice out there, even though every time I go up there, I tell them they're wrong and y'all can kiss my ass. I would like to say, though, is that on that mark, they haven't been bullying me anymore on that. Ram will start to talk and say, hey, I can't say that. And then I'll just talk over him and he'll shut up and learn his place finally. It's because he's our servant, right? He works for us. It's not the other way around. So I think they're learning a little bit. Now, their new attorney that they had, ironically, Harvey, I don't know if you know this, but he basically blocked my First Amendment and my 14th Amendment by saying I could not talk on an agenda item. It was an active agenda item, and I tried to talk about it several times, and Ram interrupted me, Kerry interrupted me, he interrupted me, and then he told me that I couldn't talk on that, and I said, "Are you sure?" And he said, "Yes." And then I actually read the law, and he told Ram Gomez to skip the agenda item. Crazy. That guy's now a judge, by the way. He is the judge from the Oasis County. He got elected with 100% of the votes, and he violates constitutional rights.
Okay, I saw one more question, but CJ already answered it.
Texas Strong Fitness is the name of my gym. That's correct.
Yeah, you guys, man, if you want to support them, even if you don't live in the area, give them a membership. Jason, do you have like a Cash App or anything you want to put out there?
I have a Cash App. Yeah, it's Jason, but they dropped the O, so it's Jason Follwell. I can put it out there.
Yeah, put it out there.
Hey, Johnny, you're right. I do have a special place in hell waiting for me, but until Satan gives up his chair, I can't go back.
I'm Satan, so according to counsel, brother, if you want my chair, you can have it.
I would agree with that statement with most lawyers, but CJ's actually doing good, man.
CJ is a badass. I give him that. I am glad I met him. The first attorney I had actually stole 10 grand from me and didn't help me at all. Wind up being friends of the council.
I've had the same thing happen to me. Absolutely. The corruption runs deep. I mean, it's not only do you get screwed over by the system, but if you hire the wrong lawyer, they screw you over too. I mean, it is designed for people to fail, man. It is really difficult to maneuver through it, man. And if you don't have a lawyer that's on your side, you're done. So
it's hard.
The problem is the problem is too many attorneys are not trial attorneys. They're not fighting attorneys. They're plea attorneys, and there is a huge cottage industry amongst attorneys to churn out cases, get your plea deal, and move on. And I've found that instead of dealing with the plea deals, you just get them dismissed. You don't have to worry about the plea deals. Here's an idea. How about we just worry about justice and not convictions or plea deals? And then we'll all be fine. That's where the prosecutors have gone wrong. It's no longer about justice. It's about numbers, because they've got political aspirations at some point, whether that's to be a higher level prosecutor or a judge. And they've forgotten what our ethics are for prosecutors, is that it's supposed to be about the administration and protection of justice, not advocacy. You don't, and you know, it drives me nuts when I hear a judge say that, you know, the defendant, you're not going to get away with doing this to my cops. Excuse me, judge, they're not your cops. You're supposed to be an impartial third party in this. And then you've got the prosecutors who are afraid to stand up to the cops because they need the cops to testify in some of their cases. And if they start, you know, supporting people like Jason, if the prosecutor says, look, you don't have a case here, guess what? The police, because they're corrupt, are going to start turning on the prosecutors as well and make it hard for them to prosecute actual criminals, because the prosecutors refuse to go after the fake criminals that the police create out of thin air. So, you know, we've got these bully pulpits. We've got to get rid of the stranglehold that law enforcement has on our political system and on our justice system. And instead of having a justice system that's criminal, get back to a criminal justice system.
CJ, how do we get the good cops to stand up? I got good cops in Aransas, but they won't do shit because they're scared of Chief Blanchard, and I do not understand. He's a fat POS that can't even touch his toes. Why are you scared of him? And they won't stand up.
Well, you know, and it's hard. People need to feed their families. And when you've got that, I wish they would stand up, because I will have a good cop's back every day of the year, twice on Sunday. And I will be your worst nightmare if you're a bad cop. And what I would say to the good cops, and especially with this case down there, look, contact me. If you're one of the guys that you've got information on Chief Blanchard and other things going on in city council that you want to talk about, not only will I protect you, I will defend you if they try to retaliate. There are rights for whistleblowers. And so, you know, if you're one of my witnesses and you help us to expose all this tyranny in Aransas Pass, not only will I protect your identity to the greatest extent I possibly can, obviously at some point I'm going to need you to testify, but if they in any way affect your right and your ability to work because you've done that, there are laws that protect you, and I will help definitely. Hell, I'll even sue you again. I'll sue them again on your behalf, officer. If they retaliate against you, I'll make sure that you have a great retirement.
Amen. But don't they have to blow the whistle first in order for you to protect them? Because like
Yes.
Corey, he left, so there's no protection there. He's already gone. I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
So they just got to have enough nuts to say, hey, this is wrong. Let me stand up, and we're protected. And that's the way it should be. They shouldn't let these guys bully us and them. I mean, they get bullied too. I hear all kinds of stories about what happens inside the office at the PD, and they just won't stand up. And people keep saying about money, but guys, if money does matter, I guess you could say, but it's irrelevant. If you look at a dollar bill, it's worth like 10 cents now, right? And that's because people do not stand up. And the money's going to keep going down because people do not stand up. And basically, you're just a slave to the system. If you get enough of us to stand up and change it, well, that's what we need. Without that, we're just gonna keep wasting our money. We're gonna get lower income to where, well, the middle class is almost poor by now, if you follow me. I mean, the structure is just tiered one way, not in our favor because we don't stand up enough.
You know, it's like that scene in Ants where the grasshopper takes the one grain out of the hopper and throws it at him. Did that hurt? And then he takes another one. Did that hurt? And then he knocks off the entire lid, and this avalanche of seeds comes and buries everybody. And he says, the grasshopper says, you know, they outnumber us. When they realize that they outnumber us, and it's, you don't do something about the one person, then they're all going to come after us. And that's what we need to do. We need to make the government aware of the fact that we outnumber them. And we've got to get busy, and we've got to get active, because freedom is not a passive sport. And we've all got to participate. You don't get a trophy when your freedom's taken from you when you do nothing.
Hey, Harvey, I got one more on what CJ said, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, guys, I've been fighting the city, and I was fighting them for almost a year by myself. If I can fight a town and the council and the police department by myself, imagine if we had 1,000 of me, and then imagine if we had 10,000 of me, and then you're going to get change, because we'll group together, fight together. I mean, you can get grand jury, militia, whole 9 yards, but we have to do it together, right? Remember, I took on a town by myself. You could do the same thing. Thank you, Harvey.
To me, it's the propaganda is so effective, and they spend trillions of dollars on this propaganda. Just a simple phrase like "back the blue." That's propaganda in itself. If you read the Constitution doesn't say back the blue. It says don't trust them, don't give them an inch, monitor them, criticize them. People are just so brainwashed with this propaganda, man. It used to be that blue line was supposed to stand between, it was essentially supposed to be that line between good and bad, good and evil. That's what it used to stand for. Now it's become a gang symbol. That's all it is a gang symbol now. And now the blue line is no longer a dividing line between good and evil. It now is the evil. Yeah.
All right. I do have to go, though.
Yeah, we're at 1 hour. Does anybody have any closing thoughts? All right.
I want to say thank you for your time, brother. Appreciate Harvey setting this up.
Hey,
thank you, CJ.
Thank you all for joining me, man. I'm honored to have you two guys on my channel for a discussion. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Harvey. Y'all take care, guys.
See y'all later. Good night.
Good night.